The coronavirus pandemic is expected to create a shift in the type of seasonal workers hired for the upcoming holiday season. Fox's Jessica Formoso explains.
It's September, which means the holidays are around the corner and seasonal jobs are already popping up. But this year, there will be a big shift in the type of hiring due to the pandemic.
This year, we'll probably see more support positions than we've ever seen in the past.
That's because consumers have been shopping more online over the last 6 months, and that trend, retail experts say, will continue. Amazon is recruiting 100,000 more workers across the U.S. to keep up with demand. FedEx is hiring 70,000 workers ahead of an expected busy holiday shopping season, and UPS plans to hire more than 100,000.
With the physical restrictions in the stores, we'll probably see a lot fewer sales associates being hired into the physical stores. But we will see is behind the scenes either support positions that facilitate online, so that would be fulfillment, distribution center.
Shelley Cohan, an associate professor at FIT, says stores who offer a curbside pickup will also need to hire more people. If you look at the current sales, she says, you can predict which companies will be hiring. Discount stores and the online retailers.
Walmart, Target, Best Buy, IKEA, those are going to be all probably hiring similar to years of the past, if not more.
Which is a good thing with the high unemployment numbers. Temporary openings mean new opportunities.
I think there's a big possibility. Of course, the retailers and brands are going to most likely look to bring back the furloughed workers that they have already furloughed. But again, when you hire the temporary seasonal workers, you're really kind of vetting out which workers are going to fit long term.
And this year, Cohan predicts a more elongated holiday season starting in October with Amazon Prime Day. She believes that it will stimulate other retailers to be highly promotional around the event.